For more information on tutoring, personalized video solutions, or how to support Moof University and the production of more videos, check out moofuniversity.com. Thank you and enjoy. So in this video series, we're going to be talking about compounds and the basics of bonding. And the reason why we need to talk about this topic is because most elements that exist in nature chemically combined with other elements in substances that are called compounds. Okay. Very few elements exist as free separate atoms. Most of them, like I said, are in compounds, so it makes sense that we have to study compounds and bonding and how compounds form. Some examples of free separate atoms include the noble gases, right? The noble gases are super stable and they don't really form compounds. They are, of course, helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and radon. And they are group 8A on the periodic table, right there, right in light blue. Okay. Also, there are some metals that exist as free separate atoms. Okay. There are a handful of elements that exist diatomically. I don't even know if that's a word, diatomically, but there are 7 diatomic elements. Di referring to 2, atomic referring to atoms. So basically the diatomic elements, what happens is that their elemental form, the form that they exist in naturally, is a combination of 2 atoms. And you should commit these 7 to memory. They are H2, N2, O2, F2, Cl2, Br2, and I2. Okay. And the way I remember it is hydrogen plus a little L shape right here. So NOF ClBrI, right? So that kind of looks like a 7 right there, right? So these here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus hydrogen over here. Those are the 7 diatomic elements. So hydrogen does not exist naturally as just a single H atom. It exists as H2. Okay. So same thing for oxygen. Oxygen gas is O2, not just O. Okay. So when it comes to forming compounds that we're going to be talking about a lot in our studies of chemistry, when we think about the subatomic particles that are important in forming these compounds, electrons are what we care about most. Because electrons are involved in actual bonding and formation of these compounds. And there are 2 types of compounds. Okay? Ionic compounds and covalent compounds. And they differ as far as their definitions when it comes to electrons. Ionic compounds form when atoms of one element transfer electrons to atoms of another element to form ionic bonds. Okay. Covalent compounds form when electrons are shared between atoms of different elements, forming covalent bonds. Okay. So if I think about it like a tug of war, with ionic compounds, it's very clear who wins the tug of war. One element entirely takes electrons from another. Or you could think about it as one element's atom gives its electrons entirely to another. So you can imagine this being like a tug of war between 2 people pulling on a rope, and one just totally yanks the rope from the other. Okay. Whereas covalent compounds, it's not quite the same, right? They're both atoms are pulling on the electrons, right? Pulling on the rope, and they're not necessarily pulling with equal strength. But the idea is that neither one entirely takes the rope from the other. Neither takes the electrons entirely from the other. The electrons kind of are existing between the 2. Okay. Now, each type of these compounds is held together by what we call, generally speaking, chemical bonds, right? Those two types of chemical bonds that we just mentioned are ionic bonds and covalent bonds. And these are the forces that hold the atoms in a compound together. Okay. I hope that video was helpful. Thank you for watching. If you found that video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with friends. Thank you and happy studying.